Hello, I'm Doug Brown. I've been living in Falmouth since 1962 when I was 3 years old. I was raised on Shorewood Drive in East Falmouth. As a child, I was lucky enough to enjoy the waterfront, playing in Dexter's River, Coonamessett River, and Great Bay. We spent our summer days swimming, boating, fishing for crabs, eel, herring, sea-run brook trout. My neighborhood friends and I were lucky to have had such a beautiful place to grow up. My daughter grew up in the same house as I did. Her experience on the water was likely less memorable. We still enjoyed boating and the beautiful scenery. However, by the time she came along, there were little or no blue crabs, no eel, no herring. She can only recount the stories we tell of the old days when these resources were abundant. Today we face many challenges to our beautiful home of Falmouth. We're faced with nitrogen pollution and pathogens in our estuaries from septic systems. We need to find new, cost-effective ways to treat our wastewater from our homes. We must begin planning for sea level rise. We have some very vulnerable areas in which are susceptible to storm damage. We need to ensure we do all we can to preserve and protect the valuable assets that make our town the beautiful place that it is. In my time on the planning board, I've come to realize the limits of my ability to enact action on such items. Selectmen need to be actively engaged in moving these vital issues forward. They must command interaction with subordinate boards and committees and produce results with the work they do. Too much good work sits on the shelf. We need to protect our sole source aquifer to ensure we have safe drinking water for our future. This means we need to continue our work of finding cost-effective ways to keep contaminants out of the upland water lens. The term sole source aquifer relates to the fact that all our water comes from rainfall. It's all blended together underground, and we're all drinking from the same source. We need to be vigilant in funding our DPW plan to replace aging water main pipes in our older areas. We also need to fund our stormwater management plan, which calls for installation of pollution control structures in areas where road runoff discharges directly into our ponds, rivers, and bays. Our natural environment is our #1 asset in our town, and I believe we need to take more action to protect it. I also believe we need to take swift and effective action to address our housing issue in Falmouth. We're losing young people who find it unaffordable to live here. Without a workforce, we can't have a complete community. The Planning Board has some good initiatives in the working stages. Selectmen need to take action and help push those initiatives forward. We need to take action on our wind turbine issue. It has taken way too long to get to the point we're at now. When I watch the old reruns of Selectmen's meetings, I see every select person say they all agree there is an issue, there is a problem, but yet there's no action to resolve it. Sometimes these decisions are not easy, but they have to be made. I've been a longtime member of the Board of Directors of the East Falmouth Village Association. I also serve as a Vice President of Falmouth Water Stewards. I was a past member of the Board of Directors of Falmouth Housing Trust. I served on the Town Building Committee during the renovation of the Main Street Library. I was also the town's lead project coordinator for the Bandshell Music Pavilion reconstruction. I served on the original Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan Review Committee. We were tasked with finding a way to reduce the cost of sewer planning from $600 million, and we came up with a plan to reduce it to $290 million within the 9 months we were given. That takes dedication, a lot of studying, a lot of meetings, and it also takes people who can work together effectively despite inevitable differences of opinion. I'm currently a member of the Planning Board serving my 3rd term. If I'm elected to the Selectman position, I will step aside from the Planning Board. I've been a town meeting member since 2004. I understand our town government, and I know I can be an effective part of the Board of Selectmen. Thank you for your consideration in this election. I hope I can earn your vote on September 8th. Please vote Doug Brown for Selectman. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark Finneran, and I'm running for a seat on the Board of Selectmen. You might be thinking to yourself, didn't we just have an election? And actually we did, but we ran into a silly little problem called voter fraud. Did you know that you actually have to live in Falmouth to be a selectman from Falmouth? Evidently some people didn't know. Having a conga line of your friends come into a hearing and swear under oath that you did live in town isn't actually enough. It's actually called perjury. One of these persons is actually running for this seat currently. The system didn't really work in the beginning, but after I hired a licensed private investigator to beat the bushes and find the truth, so to speak, things worked out, and here we are. It's kind of difficult to think that your town would lie to you, be untrue. But this isn't the only time. Another instance is the sewer in Little Pond. We were told that the 1,400 people in Little Pond voted by a vast majority not to widen the inlet and save 30% on the sewering. This is completely untrue. The people of Little Pond never voted on that. This sewer project is more of a revenue stream than to clean up a stream. Something else in the Little Pond project, we were told that's untrue is there were a number of grinder pumps was necessitated because digging in water is expensive, which is true. But the profile of Mira Vista is much like my finger, this being the center. Had we dug deeper in the center, we could have run the gravity lines much further out and necessitated many fewer grinder pumps. But this was just a way to shift the cost onto the homeowner. Also, just wrong. While we're speaking of water, let's talk about our water system. 23 years ago, we had someone come here to take over as water superintendent. And at that point, he stopped flushing our system almost completely, stopped maintaining the fire hydrants. There was a man full-time who did this job, took the fire hydrants apart, cleaned them, flushed the water year-round. It was his job. He was removed and put to the sewer plant, and that position was never refilled. This caused our system to deteriorate greatly. We take millions of dollars of water from our sewer system every year and spend none of it back on simple maintenance. I went to a strategic planning meeting last month. Of course, I was the only one that showed up. They plan on raising our water rates one more time to milk some more money out of us, and then the plan is to switch to an enterprise system where they will be able to replace all the damage that's been done over the last 23 years and pay for it by simply raising your water rates further. You'll have little or no say in it. Another thing that's going to be on the ballot, along with the special election and the primary, is a potential purchase of the Coonamessett Inn. 3 years ago, they announced at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, I think it was in November, it'll be 3 years in November, that they were forming a committee to locate a new senior center. I went down the following morning and volunteered for that committee. About 3 months went by and no one else applied, so they interviewed me. At that point in time, I had done my homework, and I found that I could have purchased the Cape Cod Baptist Church for $800,000. It still remains there. It has 11,600 square feet, and it would effectively quadruple the amount of space we have for the seniors. We could keep the senior center that we have and work out of both of them or maintain that. That's a very low-cost alternative, $66 a square foot. We need to spend our money more wisely. For the last 15 years or better, we've known that we need a fire station in Hatchville. There's a perfect piece of land on the corner of Ranch Road. It's flat. The town owns it. It's conservation land. We could locate a station there. We're at 1993 staffing levels. We need 8 firefighters. We need them now. We need ambulances. We need them now. I can tell you a little story. I was at the quarterdeck 2 months ago, and a man beside me was acting rather peculiar, and as it turns out, he was having a stroke. We caught him, sat him in a chair, called the ambulance. It took 15 minutes for an ambulance to come from North Falmouth because the ones in Falmouth were out doing overdoses, I believe it was. We need these desperately. We don't need to spend our money on the Coonamessett Inn. We need to spend our money on our seniors. We need to spend our money on safety. We need to do this now. I don't see how we can do all this unless we're a little more frugal. We think a little bit out of the box. I just question, is somebody important going to have to die before we attend to our most basic needs? Please, vote for me on September 8th. Vote against the Coonamessett Inn, and let's vote a little common sense in. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Bill Dynan. I'm a candidate for Board of Selectmen for the town of Falmouth. I've been a resident of Falmouth for 17 years, and my wife and I, Lorene, moved to Falmouth full-time last year. We have 2 grown married children. I have a son, Sean, who is a Lieutenant Colonel in the Marine Corps, currently deployed, and a daughter, Kelly, who is a school teacher and a nutrition coach. We have 5 beautiful granddaughters. I'm an elected town meeting member for Precinct 5, and last year I graduated and was elected Vice President of Falmouth's first Citizens Academy. This was a great course where department heads came before the committee, explained their roles and what they did and how they interacted within the town itself to make Falmouth work. I served as president for New Silver Beach, 375 homes, and also was a member of Falmouth's American Vets Post 70. I believe I'm the best qualified candidate for the Board of Selectmen. I'll cover 3 areas that I believe will attribute to that. First, over 20 years of municipal experience in the town of Hanson, both in management and committees. Second, over 40 years of managerial experience in the private sector. Third, served 31 years in the Marine Corps with leadership and personnel experience, management experience. My municipal experience, I was chairman of the Board of Selectmen, negotiated contracts for the police, fire, highway, and town employees. Also served on the selection committee for the police chief and the town administrator. I made tough decisions when needed. Also served as chairman and member of the Board of Health. I served on the charter committee for CMAS, a waste-to-energy plant that was built in Rochester, Massachusetts, and served as president and vice president of the Southeastern Association of Boards of Health, representing 107 cities and towns. In addition, I served in several other committees: the Housing Partnership Committee, the Capital Improvement Committee, the Growth Policy Committee, the V&A Professional Advisory Board, the Energy Resource Commission. I was a call firefighter, president of the Lions Club, and a member of the American Legion. My managerial work experience. I've been in the supermarket, retail, wholesale, and brokerage business for over 40 years. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree from Bentley University in management, and also attended Northeastern University for administrative policies and procedures. I have held several managerial positions, including store manager, district manager, director, senior business manager, and currently a food broker for Acosta Sales and Marketing, covering supermarkets on Cape Cod. I've served on the board of directors of the Massachusetts Food Association. My military experience. I am retired from the United States Marine Corps after 31 years and was promoted 11 times. I retired as a Chief Warrant Officer 4. I was retired as the Senior Air Director Officer in the Marine Corps and trained and led Marines. My son Sean is the 27th member of my family to serve since World War I. My family was profiled in USA Today in 2015 for 4 generations of honor. Falmouth's greatest assets are its citizens. Falmouth has great community spirit and volunteerism. I will continue to make Falmouth a great place to raise a family, protect the environment, support the Cape Cod Task Force against illegal drugs with education, enforcement, and treatment. Year to date, 54 Falmouth residents have overdosed and 4 have died. This has to get under control. This is affecting our way of life. I will pursue affordable housing for our young and senior citizens, support the best education for our children, continue to support the police, fire, and our dedicated town employees. I have learned also I will make the best possible decision for Falmouth with the new senior center. I've learned as a Marine officer to lead from the front and by example, and will do so as your selectman. Thank you for your consideration for your vote on September 8th. Thank you.
Before becoming a congressman, I served over a decade as district attorney, working hard to keep people safe. I'm continuing to do the same thing now as a congressman through my work on the Homeland Security Committee and as a ranking member of the Terrorism Subcommittee. But safety is also about financial security. And I've been working to improve people's financial security by strengthening Social Security, fighting Medicare fraud, increasing jobs through the development of a national infrastructure bank, and protecting access to health care. These are the things that we need at the community level to keep people safe. And that's why much of my work is focused on communities and individuals. My father was a veterans agent, and I come from a Gold Star family. This taught me what it means to do your best to serve those who served us. That's why I've worked to strengthen earned veterans' rights and to improve the Choice Plan. And for our active military right here, we work to save 141 jobs from elimination at Joint Base Cape Cod through the addition of a cyber intelligence mission. The need for quality health care extends beyond our veterans to every member of our Cape Cod community. Keeping people safe in terms of their health needs is about protecting access to care. My mother was a breast cancer survivor, and so I know firsthand the importance of research and our healthcare providers' work. I work closely with providers at Cape Cod Healthcare and our community health centers to secure funding and ensure they keep expanding to meet these needs. As just one example of our work to meet these unique healthcare needs, I worked for provision in the 21st Century Cures Act to increase funding for Lyme disease research. This act was passed by the House and is now making its way through the Senate. As a DA, over a decade and a half ago, I realized the danger and began fighting the opioid epidemic, realizing this was a public health issue. Today, Cape Cod suffers from an alarming rate of prescription drug abuse, with Barnstable County facing the highest rates of opioid-related overdose deaths in the entire Commonwealth. Nearly every one of us, myself included, has been touched by this disease in some form, be it robbed of a family member or a friend too soon, or struggling to support a loved one seeking help. This is why I introduced legislation to combat our country's epidemic. President Obama just signed the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act into law, providing over $180 million in immediate funding. Included in this law is my provision to fund drug take-back programs nationwide. Also, an important component in pain management is educating our healthcare providers, particularly regarding alternatives to opioid medications. I started an initiative to make certain that physicians at all VA facilities complete training and education courses specific to pain management and safe prescribing practices. We work to improve the opportunities available to everyone here in our communities, whether it's to break an addiction, make healthcare accessible to all, or obtain a college degree. As a college student, I had an opportunity that few still have today, to work my way through school paying my own tuition. All those who aspire for greater opportunity through education should have that chance, which is why I'm proud to have fought for more affordable access to education and for funding for our community colleges, vocational schools, and four-year institutions. For example, we worked for nearly $2.5 million in federal funding to ensure that the students at Cape Cod Community College will be trained in well-paying, secure avionics and aviation industry jobs. It's important to prepare a future workforce to meet growing demand also in the area of renewable technologies. These investments in clean, green energy sources will both bolster our energy independence and protect our natural resources from the devastating risks of climate change, including risks to our coastlines, our oceans, and our water supply that are so important for our sustenance and our local tourism industry. That's why I've taken on the fight in Congress to spearhead local initiatives like the Coonamessett River Restoration Project and Southern New England Estuaries Program to protect local coastal resiliency. Just months ago, we created a flood insurance summit here in Woods Hole to proactively meet the financial threats from flooding. We also planned an initiative with county commissioners to help save Cape Cod policyholders an estimated $2.4 million per year on their premiums. And I was honored to have my work on coastal preservation recognized nationally. by receiving a Friend of the Coast Award from the American Shore and Beach Preservation Association. You know, being a representative means understanding the district and its needs. And as a resident of Cape Cod, I've seen firsthand the challenges we work to face. I'll continue to work to keep us safe, whether it's our national security, financial security, healthcare security, or the security of preserving the resources necessary for our way of life. I ask for your support on September 8th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tom O'Malley. I'm a retired naval officer and a candidate for the U.S. Congress in the Massachusetts 9th Congressional District. I'm a South Boston native and now make my home in Marshfield with my wife Karen. I'm a graduate of the University of Massachusetts at Boston, holding a degree in political science. I spent over 30 years in active and reserve naval service, rising from deck seaman to full commander, and spent 5 full years in command positions. During one of my many deployments, I was the senior U.S. military representative in one of the United Arab Emirates and negotiated with Emirati government officials on behalf of the United States. In my career, I participated in river combat in Vietnam while serving as an advisor to the Vietnamese Navy, and I completed over 200 combat patrols. In my career, I served in jungles, in deserts, and on the high seas defending the nation. In my final deployment, I was responsible for the majority of patrol boat operations in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman while conducting anti-terrorism operations. I commanded boats and crews in 5 locations in 3 countries. And my final assignment in uniform was on the staff of General David Petraeus at Headquarters U.S. Central Command, Tampa, Florida. In that assignment, I was the Chief of Operations for the Interagency Action Group. That group coordinated the activities of civilian government agencies with that of the U.S. military. I worked with the Departments of State, Justice, Defense, the FBI, the DEA, USAID, to name a few. I am considered an anti-terrorism expert. While maintaining a successful career in the Navy, I had an equally successful one in the commercial airline industry. There, I started cleaning and loading planes and eventually held senior management positions, including general manager of the Pan Am Shuttle in Boston. I believe my military service, combined with my business experience in the airline industry, have well prepared me to lead the changes required in Congress. I know full well how to negotiate. I have done it with employee groups, vendors, and government agencies, as noted previously, with foreign government officials. I am able to see things from multiple perspectives, know when to compromise and when to hold fast. I have the willingness and the temperament to work across the aisle to accomplish things that will benefit the district, the Commonwealth, and the nation. I will work for everybody in the district every day. My prime concern is the safety of the citizens of this nation. To that end, radical Islamic jihadists must be destroyed wherever they exist. The alternative is not acceptable. The time of political correctness is past. The terror attacks by or inspired by radical Islamic jihadists are becoming far too frequent. In Europe, there are attacks on a near weekly basis. Some of the attacks have been perpetrated by fighters who slipped into Europe as refugees. The administration is bringing thousands of refugees from Syria to the United States, and we have virtually no way to know anything about them or their intent. In addition, our southern border is virtually wide open to a flood of illegal immigrants. That flood must be stemmed before we can even start to make sure we have an immigration system that actually works. This country was built by immigrants. They were legal immigrants who came here and assimilated into the American way of life and made countless contributions that have enriched the American experience. Many immigrants today demand we change our ways to suit them. That is a recipe for losing our culture and the future of our children and grandchildren. A robust and effective e-verify system would help with visa overstays that are another major source of illegal immigrants. In terms of the economy, the district and country need a real economic recovery, not the narrative promoted by the administration that uses phony numbers. There are millions of Americans out of work that are no longer counted as unemployed simply because they stopped looking for a job. Small business is the lifeblood of the economy. Let's unleash the potential of the small business community, unshackle them from restrictive, unnecessary rules and regulations, and watch them drive a real economic recovery. As a veteran myself, I am ashamed at how our veterans have been so poorly treated for so long. It is time for promises made to be promises kept. No bonuses for an organization that has cooked the books about wait times, spent millions on art, including sculptures and a facility for the blind. Instead of treating those people who have sacrificed so much in defense of this nation. I would propose a VA hospital on Cape Cod to serve the over 20,000 vets who live there. On the education of our children, I believe we must get rid of Common Core and return education where it belongs, to the states and local communities who know best how to educate our children. Let teachers teach. On gun control, I support the Second Amendment, believe in background checks, and a ban on real assault weapons. The mainstream media portrays semi-automatic rifles as assault weapons simply because they look like the weapons carried by the military. The national debt has become a national security issue and must be reduced before it's too late. A good start would be reducing the size of the government. Rebuilding a depleted military that has been worn down by never-ending conflicts is also a priority. I propose, when the President, in consultation with the Joint Chiefs, decides there is a clear and present danger to our national security or that of our allies, he must come to the Congress for authority to use military force. There must be an exit plan before the troops are committed, and we must know what victory looks like so we will know when to bring our troops home. If the danger is great enough, the President should ask for a declaration of war. Congress must once again assert the power of the purse. I am the only veteran in this race, and I am working hard every day to let the voters know I am the only candidate with the experience, temperament, and ability to defeat the incumbent in November. I ask for your vote in the primary, September 8th, 2016. Thank you, and God bless America.
Hi, I'm Dylan Fernandes. I'm a fourth-generation Falmouth resident and the son of small business owners here in town. I have long been active in politics and in public service. I was a staffer on the South Coast for Senator Elizabeth Warren, and more recently, I served as Attorney General Maura Healey's political director, running her statewide field staff and new media teams. And then I went into the Attorney General's office and worked in civil rights and consumer protection. And when I quit my job to run for state rep, I was digital director there, launching campaigns aimed at the State House to move the ball forward on key legislation. And the reason that I've worked on these campaigns that help working families and vulnerable people here in Falmouth and across our state is because that's where I come from. My father grew up in really extreme poverty in East Falmouth. And he's a family of 9 brothers and sisters, and they were abandoned by their father at a very young age. And so my dad, along with my grandmother, raised the family themselves. And college was never an option for my father. I don't even think he graduated high school, but he had ambition and he had drive. And so he started a small landscaping company here in town called General Tree Care, and he worked hard to see it grow. And he got to witness the reward of his hard work when I graduated from college, the first person from a very large Portuguese family to do so. And I'm here today to give back to the community that has given me and my family so much. Because I know it's stories like mine and stories like my father's that are being told less and less here in Falmouth and on Martha's Vineyard and on Nantucket. Because lack of affordable housing is driving seniors, young people, and working families out of our community. Environmental degradation, sea level rise, and water pollution are threatening our environment here, which is our driver of our economy. And crushing student loan debt is forcing our young people to look for jobs in the city rather than start a business right here in town. And limited transportation and resources are making it harder for our seniors to retire with dignity and to live in the community that they helped build. And there's a lot of work ahead, And that is why we need someone with both new energy and experience to move our district forward. And I'm 26, so I'll bring the new energy. And our team has been out and we've knocked on over 5,000 doors across the district. But more importantly, I'm the only candidate running with experience working on state level, in politics, and in public service. And that experience matters when it comes to getting things done for our district, because too often the politicians up there on Beacon Hill look down at our region and they only see beaches and lighthouses. And they fail to recognize the serious issues we have here around housing, the environment, and the opioid and heroin epidemic, just to name a few. And I've been up there doing the work already, forging relationships with staffers and legislators, and those relationships and that experience matters when it comes to getting the job done for Falmouth. And that experience that I bring is why Attorney General Maura Heylin and former state reps Eric Turkington and Dick Kendall are supporting our campaign, and why every social justice group, every workers' rights group, every environmental group, including the Sierra Club, to endorse in our race are supporting our campaign. And I humbly ask you to join them, and I humbly ask for your vote and for your support on Thursday, September 8th. And I'm running for state rep to serve you and the people of our community. And I believe in transparency and engaging directly with people on the issues. So let's have a conversation. Call me anytime on my direct cell phone. It's 508-292-5451, or check out my website, dylanfernandez.com. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Michael Heylin, and I am running for state representative. I was born and raised in Falmouth and attended Falmouth Public Schools. I graduated Falmouth High School in 1998, and I credit the many fine teachers I had to give me the tools I needed to go on to higher education and become a successful member in our community. That is why I'll be a strong advocate for public schools and educators who work so hard every day to give this generation what they need to succeed. After graduation, I went on to study Management Information Systems at Worcester Polytech and later Film Media Studies at Fitchburg State University. I went back to Fitchburg State University where I received my Master's in Business Administration. For 7 years, I traveled both nationally and internationally, covering breaking news, political campaigns, sports, and entertainment events. I saw that firsthand the devastation left in the wake of Hurricane Katrina and the heartache of being suddenly left homeless and having everything you once owned gone. We're all vulnerable to unexpected events that could shake our stability and leave us needing help. That is why I will work to make sure that the disenfranchised have adequate services and affordable housing. No one in our community should go to bed hungry or be unable to have a safe place to live. I left the news industry to go into public access television. I worked in Braintree Public Access as a programming director first, and then I left to create my own nonprofit in Rainham, the Rainham Channel. I am currently the executive director of the Rainham Channel. In this capacity, I have worked at the State House with many elected officials, including Congressman Stephen Lynch, Governor Charlie Baker, Treasurer Steve Grossman, Auditor Suzanne Bump, and Senator Mark Pacheco. During Maura Heyley's first AG run, I was enlisted to help her campaign turn itself around by getting her exposure on local public access television. I met with her and created a strategy to get more coverage. We filmed, directed, and produced the first of her talk shows that was placed on public access stations across the Commonwealth and later launched on social media by one of my opponents. I have worked extensively with district attorneys across the Commonwealth, DA Sam Sutter, DA Tim Cruz, and most recently DA Tom Quinn, in addressing the opioid epidemic that is devastating our communities. Currently, I am working with DA Tom Quinn and a young man named Corey to bring attention to the horrible effects that the heroin epidemic has placed on our community by producing a documentary. We showcase the life of this promising young scholar and athlete who had been so horribly affected by an overdose that has left him unable to live his life to the full potential. Much needs to be done to address this scourge. We need to look at this problem with new eyes and focus on what will work, not continue to do things that would not work. I am personally deeply invested in this community. I grew up here, and along with my wife, Pamela, we are raising our two beautiful children in this town. I want to make this place the most beautiful, safest, and cleanest place to live. I'm cemented in this community. Erosion has created a serious problem in our community and needs to be addressed. Man-made canals, jetties, and seawalls, among other things, have created currents that have moved sand from beaches into our harbors. Dredging has become a billion-dollar industry, and we need to ensure our neighbors are allowed to travel safely to their homes, as well as make sure our pristine beaches are available to continue the economy we all rely so heavily on. Water quality is a huge issue as well on Cape Cod and the islands. I will work with local leaders, engineers, and scholars to determine the best way to address this issue. Without clean drinking water, we are all in trouble. I have worked with many local organizations as part of contributing to help this community. I have promoted small businesses in Falmouth, Woods Hole, and the Vineyard through my public access media network. I brought awareness to great restaurants and merchants across the district. I have also volunteered for West Falmouth Cleanup, the Coalition for Children, Falmouth Theater Guild, Highfield Hall, and many others. I've been putting movies on under the stars in conjunction with the West Falmouth Village Association on Wednesday nights this summer. Another group I work with is the Neighborhood Falmouth group. We are currently working on driving senior citizens to doctor's appointments, shopping, etc. We as a community need to discuss the aging population in Falmouth and the islands. There's not enough public transportation for our elderly, and that will change when I am elected. Another issue is seniors need help understanding what they will do in their retirement. I have worked with SWIFT, a group in town, to get that information out to seniors. As a recent graduate of Falmouth Police Department Citizens Academy, I wanted to show our local police department they have the support of their local citizens. So I organized an appreciation night for the department in July. It was an amazing event, and many local adults and children met officers, got to know each other, made cards, etc. Our police, fire, teachers, and nurses need to know how much they are valued in this community. For years, I have worked with Senator Mark Pacheco in order to keep Taunton State Hospital open. People who need mental health should not be forced to go to a different location they are used to. We need more health facilities, and after a tough fight, we kept Taunton State Hospital open. I have worked with hire nurses, Show Me Your Stethoscope, and others to make sure that safe staffing is the forefront of my campaign, and when elected, I will have safe staffing enacted in this state and across the country. I'm a homeowner, I'm a taxpayer in this community, and I know what it takes to run a household and a business. The easy thing is to get along. I will never do that. I will fight hard for my constituents. If they don't know how to stand up for themselves, I will stand up for them. I ask you to vote on September 8th. Let me bring your voice to the State House. I want to fight for my family as well as yours. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to let me introduce myself and my candidacy for state rep to you. My name is Ewell Hopkins, and I'm a resident of the town of Oak Bluffs. My wife and I, Kimberly Cartwright, are the proud parents of 3 children, Christine, Danielle, and Tripp. I have an extensive history in public service and believe in giving back to community. I am the current Democratic Town Committee Chair, and I am the Vice President of the Martha's Vineyard Democratic Council and now President of the Martha's Vineyard Democratic Council. I sit on numerous boards, and I'm an elected official in the town of Oak Bluffs in the Planning Board. Again, I believe that democracy is not a spectator sport. You have to jump in, you have to get involved. If what you believe in is important to you, you should share it with others. Let me take a moment and thank the FCTV network for viewing this candidate forum. It's very important, I believe, to reduce the cost of campaigning as much as possible. Money should not drive politics, and through venues such as FCTV, we're able to reach you in a very affordable way. And I'm very happy to be a part of this process. I also am proud to say that I created the primary debate within the Democratic Party for this position. For the first time in 2 years, Democrats will have an opportunity within the party to discuss how we want to be represented at the state. I believe that in this era of contention and visceral debate, that it's very important within our party with a common vision and a common platform to discuss improvement on a regular basis. Through open debate and discussion, we grow and we provide true value to the public. Mine is a campaign of the pursuit of common vision and district-wide process of consensus building. And what I mean by that is historically, the relationship with the state representative has been one of parallel conversations and the advancement of agendas. We have not done enough to get to know each other within the district, to strive for common goals, and to agree to have a unified voice. As an elected official in the town of Oak Bluffs, I am very much aware of the challenge of the absence of collective will and the effects of a fragmented agenda pursuit with an overall sense of scarcity. Until we remove those factors and we come together in a spirit of abundantness, we will not be able to strive to take on the challenges that we face. As a district, our voice is diffused at the state level. Doing the tough job of working together within district first will strengthen our voice statewide. With a focus on common good, district-wide, we will be able to embrace our fragile relationship with Mother Earth. As more and more people call south of the bridge home, we must plan better. We must address the full spectrum of the human condition within our district without negatively impacting tourism, our economic engine. And we collectively must have a plan for the steamship, our lifeline, in so many different ways. We together must play a more central role in statewide issues, regardless of their impact in our lives. Drug use, decommissioning of Pilgrim, school funding are all important topics that I believe we have not played a central role in the debate at a state level. My candidacy is one of collective vision, collective goal, and mutual respect. And I hope to earn your vote on September 8th. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Lambert, and I'm running for state representative for the Barnstable, Dukes, and Nantucket district. I believe the government must be responsive to people's needs and improve people's lives. That is why I want to be your state representative. I want to represent you and your needs on Beacon Hill. It is important that the representative for Falmouth listen to their constituents, examine problems from every angle, find implementable solutions, and have the courage to lead. I will bring all these skills and qualities to the table. I have a track record to prove it. I'm a conservation biologist, and I have spent the past decade working on policy and resource management. I'm a homeowner. I live, work, and am involved in our community. I was raised by a single parent. My mother is a teacher, and I have witnessed firsthand the financial challenges that many in our community face. As your state representative, I will dedicate my energy, ingenuity, knowledge, and experience to this task. I believe that it is an elected official's duty to listen to and represent the interests of the people they serve. I have spent the past several months meeting and talking with as many of you as possible, listening to your concerns and gaining an even more in-depth knowledge of the issues we face. I have listened as Rebecca, a single mom from West Falmouth, has explained how she has to work 2 jobs to afford to keep her home, and she is still struggling to make ends meet. I have listened to Kathy from Falmouth. She is concerned about her drinking water. And Frank from Woods Hole, who is concerned that his family home, which has been in his family for generations, is going to be washed away during the next hurricane. And Kate, who is afraid that she won't be able to afford to stay in her home if her husband predeceases her. You have told me that we need to create more living wage jobs, that we need to continue to improve our excellent schools, that we need to increase access to public services for our seniors, that we need to preserve the extraordinary beauty and health of our natural resources, that we need to make public safety a top priority, that we need to address our energy concerns, and that we need to be proactive in addressing rising sea levels and its impact on our coastal communities. We need to address the opioid crisis. Addiction and heroin affect us all. This is a very personal issue for me. My uncle was an addict. I watched as his addiction to prescription drugs ended his employment, his family, and eventually his life. We have made great strides in our community, but we need to do more. We need to dedicate more resources to prevention, and we need to extend assistance beyond detox clinics. In addition, we need to grow non-seasonal job opportunities that give a living wage. I know firsthand the challenges associated with being a young person purchasing a home in Falmouth. Too many of our young people are forced to choose between poverty or seeking employment elsewhere. Members of our community deserve the opportunity to stay live, and work in Falmouth, to raise their kids in the same wonderful town where they were raised. We need to be proactive about addressing climate change and improve the resilience of our community. We are a town surrounded by the sea. The ocean is the lifeblood of our community. As your elected official, I promise to make improving our community, environmental, and economic resilience to the ever-increasing hazards of climate change and sea level rise a top priority. I have already begun legislation framework to that effect. All too often, we find our representatives voting on legislation that does not seem to represent us. If elected, I promise you that I will represent your interests, your issues, and do everything possible to find solutions to the many challenges facing our community. That is why I am asking for your vote on Thursday, September 8th. Together, we can achieve the kind of change our community deserves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Blanton. I'm running for state representative for the 3rd Barnstable District, covering the towns of Falmouth, Mashpee, and Bourne. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the reasons why I'm running and why I'm asking for your vote. I believe it's time for a new voice and a fresh perspective. The Upper Cape has old and new challenges that I have seen over a lifetime of living and working here. Meeting these challenges and making real tangible progress is going to require new ideas and a novel way of translating those ideas into actions. I have a diverse and varied set of skills and experiences grounded in deep roots in this community, combined with years of public service right up to the present day that I believe, and I hope you'll agree, will best serve the citizens of Falmouth, Mashpee, and Bourne now. I grew up in Bourne. I was educated in our public schools. I earned undergraduate degrees, one from Cape Cod Community College, later on from UMass Dartmouth in International Relations. Later, I earned my MBA from UMass as well, so I'm a fan of public education. I'm familiar with the challenges of living and raising a family on Cape Cod. I was raised by a single mom on a limited income myself. Now I'm a single dad raising my son, and he's our family's 4th generation Cape Codder. I work 2 jobs like many of my friends and neighbors, who also work hard to make a living and achieve a quality of life on the Cape for my family. I'm a self-employed real estate broker for the past 15 years. I started the business in Mashpee and I serve the entire Upper Cape. I believe affordable housing for our workforce, for families and seniors is crucial to maintaining a vibrant community and economy. I managed a marine science education nonprofit in Woods Hole. I understand that protecting our coastal environment while investing in the blue economy with innovations in marine technology, alternative energy generation, advances in healthcare, and a healthy coastline will pay dividends in growing our seaside opportunities. I've worked in economic development on the South Coast region and Cape Cod with UMass. We promoted small to medium-sized businesses to help them refine their products and services, develop their export potential, and increase jobs. Light, clean, and responsible business development in partnership with local and regional education will promote and enhance both professional and academic offerings that will keep families from leaving the area and keep their creativity and enthusiasm here on the Cape. So, I believe that public service is the most direct way that we can affect change for our families, our friends, and our neighbors in a way that brings positive benefits to the quality of life here on Cape Cod, in our Cape communities. Dealing with the opioid epidemic, protecting our drinking water, giving both our kids and our adults in employment transition access to excellent education and retraining, all while keeping the Cape a special place, is a daunting task, but also a worthwhile endeavor. I learned how to advocate for these issues as a selectman, a representative to the Cape Cod Commission for 8 years, a member of the Bourne Housing Authority for 5 years, the Falmouth Housing Trust for 2 years, and now I'd like to advocate for you on Beacon Hill, if you'll consider voting for me on September 8th in the state primary. My grandmother always told me that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I'm stepping up, and I'm asking you to help me help you. I hope you'll see that I have a passion for our community, a head for addressing the issues, and a heart for helping the people of the Upper Cape. I'm asking for your thoughts and ideas so that we can do better together, and I'm asking for your vote on Thursday, September 8th. Thank you for your consideration.
Hello, my name is Matt Patrick, and I'm running for the 3rd Barnstable State Representative seat, which I held previously from 2000 through 2010. During that time, I wrote and sponsored numerous bills that have made your life and the lives of our fellow citizens better. I'm running again to give you a choice that you haven't had in the past 4 years. Your state representative seat election is the opportunity to put someone in Boston that has a proven track record of accomplishment, or you can re-elect the same person who has accomplished little over the last 6 years. Alexis de Tocqueville wrote, "People get what they deserve in a democracy." You deserve better, so that's why you should think long and hard about who you send back to Boston. We have great opportunities to make a difference in our lives with state legislation. The following bills are pending and need strong leadership to get them passed into law. You will have the opportunity to vote on the millionaire's tax that will add an extra 4% to the income tax on any income over $1 million. That money will be dedicated to education, rebuilding our roads and bridges, and mass transportation. It will create good-paying jobs at a time when we need them desperately. Your current representative has sworn an oath to Grover Norquist, pledging never to vote for new taxes, no matter how much sense they may make. So he cannot advocate for the millionaire's tax, nor can he vote for it. The only pledge I will take is the one to uphold the United States Constitution and the Massachusetts Constitution that we all take when we are sworn into the legislature. I believe that anyone that works 40 hours a week is entitled to a living wage, and I will not rest until it is passed into law. I will file or co-sponsor a $15 minimum wage for employees working at big box stores and fast food places. Anything less is a taxpayer subsidy to multinational companies. The employees of these companies are forced and sometimes instructed to seek out government programs to subsidize their income so they can feed their children and pay their rent. I will fight to ensure that the Cape has more transition beds for rehab patients in the state budget. Currently, we have very few, certainly not enough. I will also file a bill to make nonviolent drug use a non-criminal offense. It makes absolutely no sense to put nonviolent drug users in jail, which costs upwards of $30,000 annually and exposes them to the worst elements in our society. Let's take the savings and put it into rehab on demand and more transition beds. I will file a single-payer health care bill, which is the same as Medicare for all, that keeps our senior citizens healthy. Our health care is still the most expensive in the history of the world, and the outcomes are not good. Deductibles and copays are too expensive, and they are keeping people from treatment, even though they have health insurance. We must catch up with the rest of the civilized world. As a former Peace Corps volunteer, I'm going to call on my fellow returned Peace Corps volunteers to help me form the Commonwealth Senior Peace Corps. Going door to door in this district has reminded me of the wonderful retirees we have living here, who have incredible experience just waiting to be tapped. How great would it be to have seniors mentoring children from single-parent families, helping the homeless find jobs and their dignity, teaching children to read or do arithmetic, or volunteering at any number of nonprofit agencies that we have grown to depend upon. If possible, I will give participating seniors a per diem based on their need for their efforts. These are not small-time goals, but we need people in the legislature that have the experience to get things done and are not afraid to be catalysts for the public good. The most concrete accomplishment I can point to are the solar panels you see going up on homeowners' roofs and municipal landfills. I wrote that section of the Green Communities Act along with several other energy-related bills. Green energy is now the fastest growing sector of the Massachusetts economy, with 6,000 new businesses and 100,000 new jobs. Not only is it good for the economy, but it is good for your pocketbook and the environment. It eliminates millions of tons of CO2 each year. The current occupant is still not sure global warming is real. I have many more accomplishments, such as closing corporate tax loopholes, which save the Commonwealth hundreds of millions of dollars each year, plus the Sagamore flyover, which made traveling to the Cape safer and less of a burden. Go to my website at electmattpatrick.org to see a partial list. How did I do all these things? I'm not sure. I'm not a great speaker, as you have just witnessed, but I am highly motivated to make good things happen for you. Give me another chance, and I'll do it again. Thank you, and have a good day.
Hi, I'm Dave Vieira, State Representative for the 3rd Barnstable District. It's an honor to have served you for the last 3 terms as your state representative. As you know, we're getting ready for an election. There'll be a Thursday, September 8th election of the primary, of which I am running unopposed. And so today I'd like to talk a little bit about the general election in November, on November 8th, Tuesday. Over the last 3 years, one of the things I've learned that's so important in Boston and in the district, in Mashpee, Falmouth, and Bourne, is to build relationships. And these relationships not only are important in our personal lives, but they are so important in our public life. Too often today, in the political sphere, we are Democrats and Republicans. And we see it in Washington, D.C. Individuals fight, they argue, they can't come to agreement on nearly anything. And in Boston, we have a little bit of a different way of operating. In Boston, we tend to work together. We don't always agree, and nor should we, as we have different philosophies. But we understand that it is important to work together to build relationships for the people of the Commonwealth. And as your state representative, if I'm going to represent you and help you meet your needs, I need to have those relationships on both sides of the political aisle. And that's why I was so proud in my first term to have been appointed by Governor Deval Patrick to serve on the New England Compounding Pharmacy Oversight Commission, a special commission which was investigating the meningitis outbreak at the compounding pharmacy. I was actually the only member of the House of Representatives on that commission. We met for a couple of months and did an in-depth investigation in order to make recommendations to the governor and the legislature for changes needed in the compounding pharmacy industry. I also then had the honor to serve on the conference committee. When the Senate and the House both prepared 2 different versions of that bill, I was appointed by the Republican leadership to be on the conference committee, and we ended up with a bill that became a national model for the way that compounding pharmacies should be regulated within their states. Most recently, working together with Governor Charlie Baker, I had the honor of serving on the conference committee for the Municipal Modernization Act. Many of you know I'm the town moderator also in the town of Falmouth. And for the past 18 years, I have worked in municipal government as an elected official and understand some of the challenges that our towns and cities face. And so while serving on that committee, that gave me the opportunity to continue to build those relationships. The first phone call I actually got after being appointed was from Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito. Lieutenant Governor Polito is in charge of community compacts and the work that's happening throughout the Commonwealth with cities and towns. And her office was willing to do whatever we needed to make the necessary compromises and adjustments to get the bill through. I'm proud to say that that bill was the first bill to be brought forward out of a conference committee before the end of session and actually passed unanimously in the House and the Senate. In my second term, I was appointed to the Ways and Means Committee. That's the Budget Committee, one of the most powerful committees in the legislature. And during that period of time, then Governor Patrick was proposing a $1.9 billion tax increase. Through our hard work and dedication, we were able to reduce that increase to merely $500 million. That's $500 million. But we targeted those investments in areas that were most important to the Commonwealth. And so we were able to save the taxpayers and business owners that $1.9 billion tax increase, but we did increase taxes and were able to invest those things that were areas that were most important. Now this term, I have the opportunity and the honor to serve in the minority leadership. I am the ranking member of the Bonding, Capital Asset, and State Expenditure Committee. And as you know from watching television, we had some issues and continue to have issues with the MBTA. And so a lot of our work on this committee has been working on reorganizing the MBTA and looking at the bonding. But also as a member, ranking member of that committee, I am on the Debt Affordability Committee. And we've worked with the Baker administration to set our debt limit and to make sure that we live within our means like all of our families have to do in the Commonwealth. And so those are a few of the things that I've been doing over the last couple of terms. And now I'd like to talk about 5 points going forward. What will the campaign be about? For me, the campaign will be about continuing to address the opioid crisis, continuing to invest in economic development opportunities, continuing to honor our public safety officials, both in the police, fire, and correction services, focusing on education and investing in early education and care, and also looking at our next generation MCAS tests. And finally, what I like to call filling potholes, and sometimes that's literally calling Mass DOT to fill potholes, but what I consider filling potholes is constituent services. Many of you watching have probably called my office at one point or another because you've had an issue with a state agency. Maybe it's an RMV handicap placard, or maybe you had a permit with the Department of Environmental Protection that got lost on someone's desk. And you call our office and we help you. Or maybe like the Falmouth Service Center, you had a $5,000 fine for an elevator inspection that you put in for, but the state just didn't manage correctly. And we were able to get that fine forgiven for the service center, and a $20,000 fine for the Methodist Church in the town of Bourne. So constituent services are so important. And our office and my office will continue to do that in the next term. So I'm Dave Vieira, I'm from T-Ticket, and it is an honor to be your state rep.
Hello, I am Randy Azzato, a resident of East Falmouth, where I have resided full-time since 2002 with my beautiful wife, 3 lovely daughters, and lab Shiloh. Last year, I announced my candidacy as a Democrat running for Barnstable Sheriff. Over the past 30-plus years, I have prepared myself to lead a sheriff's office. My record of achievement includes assignments of increasing responsibility for some of the busiest police departments on the East Coast, having trained with some of the best police officers in the nation. My training exceeds 6,000 hours. I am now turning my attention to our beloved Cape Cod. My plan for a new vision, new direction for the Sheriff's Office will have 3 major components: prevention, programming, and policing. I am running for Barnstable County Sheriff to transform the Sheriff's Office into a more visible, dynamic agency that is trustworthy, effective, and responsive to the needs of the citizens of Barnstable County. I will assist all local police departments and strengthen the effectiveness of law enforcement and public safety throughout Barnstable County. Citizens in Barnstable County deserve a greater community presence from the Sheriff's Office, and residents should feel secure knowing that the best trained individuals in Massachusetts are working to assist their local police and communities. Under my leadership, every town on the Cape will have assigned a community resource deputy to provide citizens with information and to listen to their concerns. Transparency is an essential part of a democratic government. Citizens should know what the Sheriff's Office is, how it works, who is hired, and how much they get paid. This is all public information. You should know what your sheriff is doing and how your tax dollars are being spent. As a peer reviewer and consultant for the United States Department of Justice, I am uniquely qualified to bring federal grant dollars and programming to Cape Cod. My master plan of implementing a Cape Cod Regional Intelligence Center will bring much-needed technological advances and real-time awareness to all law enforcement and public safety agencies in the 5 counties of Barnstable, Plymouth, Bristol, Dukes, and Nantucket. I will return to uniform, as will my command staff, and lead from the front. We will be visible and proactive, visible to the inmates, visible to the communities we serve, and most importantly, visible to the criminals and thugs who wish to do the Cape residents harm. I have visited, trained, and patrolled with the leaders and hardworking men and women of the Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston Sheriff's Offices. I specifically chose these agencies because they are the largest in the U.S., housing an average of 45,000 daily inmates. These nationally accredited agencies have implemented literally hundreds of evidence-based programs for crime prevention, safety, and incarcerated individuals. Barnstable County does not have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to drug addiction and law enforcement programs. My diverse qualifications include management training with the National Institute of Corrections, state and national certifications as a correctional auditor, and the completion of over 10 law enforcement executive development courses. Gosnold Rehabilitation estimates that the Cape now has close to 6,000 drug addicts. My drug prevention plan includes the child's characters Commander Clam and Lieutenant Lobster. I am working with an internationally acclaimed Harvard psychology researcher to introduce a puppet program for elementary-age children, increasing their awareness and coping skills should their parents, siblings, or they themselves have a drug addiction. We must attack the drug crisis from every possible angle. We need to provide a rehabilitative environment for offenders so that they can recover from their myriad of problems and rebuild their lives. The crime rate in Barnstable County has increased significantly over the past 18 years. By better promoting rehabilitation, we can reduce both the crime rate and recidivism, making the future safer for all of us. My Off to College program will better prepare graduating high school seniors to face the demanding challenges of leaving home and coping with the unique peer pressures placed on this high-risk population. A multidisciplinary mortality review board, chaired by me, will be established to identify and help mitigate the leading causes of death and accidents on Cape Cod. Realizing an aging Cape elderly population, I will implement the highly successful Are You OK? Senior Citizen Program, which conducts daily telephone checks for seniors like my 91-year-old mother living alone in their homes. In closing, the time for civic duty and action is now. We simply cannot afford to wait another 6 years. The drug dealers and drug addicts definitely will not wait. Frivolously spending another $240 million taxpayer dollars with no comprehensive master plan is the equivalent of throwing money out to sea. For over 3 decades, I have prepared myself to lead a sheriff's office. I have done my part. I now need your assistance in helping to increase safety for all on Cape Cod. I have purposely positioned myself to be a well-rounded candidate and CEO. I have very diverse and distinguished qualifications of policing, corrections, teaching, peer reviewing, and leadership. I am respectfully asking for your vote on November 8th. The Barnstable Sheriff's Office belongs to the citizens of the Cape, not a select few individuals. Together we can make a dramatic difference. This unique time in Cape Cod history requires my new vision, new direction. History will judge us by our action or inaction. My plan is action. Thank you.
I'm Mary Pat Flynn, County Commissioner for Barnstable County, Cape Cod. I have been your commissioner for the past 8 years, and now I am asking again for your vote for one more term. Being a commissioner has been an amazing experience for me. As many of you know, I was a selectman here in Falmouth for the past 18 years, working locally and on local issues that were important to all the people who live in Falmouth. And now I've had the opportunity for the last 8 years to be able to take those issues from the local level to the county level and see how it might be possible to collaborate better for the purpose of working together and also for achieving goals at much less cost than what it does for towns to do it on their own. As we all know, Massachusetts is a very interesting state when it comes to how its political subdivisions were established. And the idea of 351 towns being able to vote for their own needs, vote their own financial, or determine the financial needs that they have and how they're going to spend those finances for the betterment and for the good of their citizens is a most interesting government structure. And to bring a county into that structure has not been easy, but when we think about how collaboration can occur, how towns can work together, how the county can establish a base for that collaboration to take place, That's what I've been doing for the past 8 years, is bringing communities together, solving our problems on a regional basis, planning for the solution of problems on a regional basis, and actually looking at ways and how we can save money by doing this. And I think we've done that. Some of the best examples, I think, are in the area of water and wastewater. As many of you know, the county spearheaded the Wastewater Collaborative and has brought all the towns together to look at ways in which towns can address the problem, not on their own particularly, but how they can take their needs and bring them together with others on the Cape, other towns, communities on the Cape, and how we can solve these problems regionally, so that in the end we have solutions that not only cost less money, but also have brought people together, brought towns together to learn how to work collaboratively and work on issues collaboratively, so that we have better results and the people who live here feel a lot better about their communities. It has been an amazing opportunity for me these last 8 years to work at the county level. I have learned more about state government and how towns need state government to respond to their needs. Towns can't raise taxes to pay for everything. The county has been a collaborator in that and a communicator, where we have brought the towns and our state representatives together and worked on problems and worked on solutions. So as I look forward to this next 4-year term, I ask for your vote, and I thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Mark Forrest, and I'm a candidate for County Commissioner. I'm running to bring new leadership and new ideas to county government, and to bring real solutions to many of the critical issues facing the Cape. First, let me take a moment to tell you just a little bit about myself. I live in Yarmouth with my wife, Carol. We have 2 children who attended the Dennis Yarmouth Public School System. I've never held elective office before, but I do know a lot about how to make government work and how to get things done. I currently teach American government at Cape Cod Community College, and for several years I taught public administration at Suffolk University. I've taught many town managers and county managers on how to be innovators, how to cut through red tape, and be results-oriented. I also have a consulting firm that helps local governments find funding for economic development and public works projects. My college and professional training is pretty much in the area of town management, public administration. I started my career working for the Selectmen in Harwich in 1980, and then I moved on to Provincetown and worked in the town manager's office there for many years. I played an active role in solving the town's financial crisis without raising taxes. I developed a plan to secure state and federal funding to clean up pollution that was threatening our drinking water supplies. I led the redevelopment of McMillan Wharf, which serves as the focal point for the town's whale watching industry and fishing fleet. I also secured funds to rebuild the town's water and sewer system. Back then, my success in solving these problems got the attention of our local congressman, Gary Studds. He asked me to join his staff so we could work together in helping towns all throughout the Cape and the islands. And then when Congressman Bill Delahunt was elected, he asked me to assist him as well. Most people who know me know that I'm a problem solver. I like getting things done. And I've helped address some of the Cape's most pressing and difficult issues, like the cleanup of pollution at the military base, or the development of new water supplies for many of our towns. I've been very involved in the protection of open space and conservation land, the development of healthcare clinics for our veterans here on the Cape and the islands. I've also worked on developing port infrastructure, working waterfronts for our mariners and our fishermen. I've also been involved in securing funds for coastal restoration projects and wastewater, funding for Open Cape, our information superhighway. A few years back, I was asked by the Upper Cape Selectmen right here at a meeting in Falmouth to chair the Save Otis Coalition when the Congress was threatening to shut down the base. Together, we successfully prevented the closure of the base, and we kept a strong Coast Guard and National Guard presence right here on Cape Cod. We also saved 3,000 jobs and an important part of the Cape's economy. The question I'm often asked these days is, why county government? And my answer is simple. I love the Cape. I've loved working to make Cape Cod a better place, and I believe that county government can do a lot more. Our county government is one of the oldest in the country. It was created by the legislature to address regional problems on Cape Cod, to address the critical issues that are beyond the boundaries of any one town. For example, homelessness, the opioid epidemic. These aren't just Falmouth's problems. These are national problems, but they lend themselves to regional and collaborative solutions. The chemical pollutions at Otis, for example, affected more than just Falmouth. This situation affected the water resources of all the Upper Cape towns. It required that the Cape come together and speak with one voice and tell the Pentagon and the Congress how best to address it. Now, these are some of the regional problems that are affecting every town on the Cape. And as a county commissioner, my job will be to provide leadership and to work together in crafting solutions on how to address them. We need to speak with one voice, one strong, unified voice. And part of this job means that we're making sure our voices are heard on Beacon Hill, Washington, at all levels of government. And as you know, so many of our tax dollars go to Boston and Washington, and so little of it comes back. We end up getting shortchanged in local aid, transportation, and education funding. So part of my job will be to make sure that we work with our legislators to help bring more of your tax dollars, bring more of your dollars back home here to Cape Cod. In addition to my track record in securing funds and in tackling these issues, my professional background will be also very, very important in making sure that we wisely manage the county's funds. You know, we have a $28 million budget. We have roughly 215 employees. And we have a lot of work to do in straightening out the county's finances. We need a long-term revenue plan. We need a capital plan. And we need to work on getting a first-rate bond rating. The bottom line is these issues do not solve themselves, and sometimes the wrong solutions can be very expensive. But they require the skill and experience that I bring to the job. They require new ideas and the kind of energy and dedication I've shown throughout my career. Together, I know we can make sure that Cape Cod has a bright future. It can be a special place that our children and grandchildren will enjoy and cherish just as much as we do. And that is why I'm asking for your help and your support this November. Please keep me in your thoughts as you go to vote. And if you have any questions, check out my website, www.electmarkforrest.com. And thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Bond, Linda A. Bond, and I am running for Barnstable County Commissioner. I am asking you for your vote so that I can help the residents of all 15 towns across Cape Cod that make up Barnstable County. Do you work hard for your money like I do? Do you want to see your tax dollars spent wisely? As candidate for Barnstable County Commissioner, I have been working hard visiting businesses across the 15 towns of Barnstable County, and the response has been very positive. My platform embracing my management experience is resonating across our communities. I am not an established politician. I am a manager, and I believe this is exactly what is needed from the next Barnstable County Commissioner. People across Cape Cod are looking for answers, new ideas, and responsible plans to address Cape Cod's unique concerns. My blue-collar roots, my proven managerial experiences, and my new and fresh approach to county government seems to be what people want, what people are looking for, and what people are looking to vote for. The County of Barnstable offers many great programs such as water quality control, payroll and group insurance, dredging services, fire and rescue training, county property maintenance, child care services, and many more. These programs are all to benefit each and every resident of Cape Cod. I also feel strongly that we need to maintain control of these programs here on Cape Cod and not to relinquish control to Beacon Hill. Of extreme importance is the need to balance our budget. Some of these programs are in jeopardy of closing because budgets are balanced from the bottom up, which simply does not work. Raising taxes repeatedly to make up for shortfalls is completely unacceptable to me. I pledge to use my strong, proven managerial background to bring checks and balances to our county. By doing so, we can maintain and improve the quality of life here on Cape Cod so that we can enjoy the lifestyle we all love here on this beautiful peninsula. If you answered yes to my first two questions and wish to see someone who also works hard for her money and cringes when her tax dollars are not used wisely, then vote Bond. I am Bond, Linda A. Bond, and I ask for your support for my candidacy, and I ask for your vote on November 8, 2016 at the general election. I promise transparent and easy access to me should I become the next Barnstable County Commissioner. Visit my website at www.lindaabond.com for more information and background. Don't accept anything less. My name is Bond, Linda A. Bond, and I approve this message.